Good day, everybody, and welcome to another Coffee Jolt. It's a Wednesday morning, 3 days in a row. I know you're getting sick and tired of seeing me, but thanks again for tuning in, listening to us later on Apple, on Spotify, anywhere you listen to your podcast, you will find the Fanatical Elves Network and this show. How's everybody doing? Oh, good, good. I know you're all talking, all scouring social media as I am, the X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. By the way, we're there. Follow us on TikTok. We're growing our brand there on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. We need you to subscribe. We're gaining momentum, like I've said, but we're gaining traction. I think we got added another 10, 15 followers on TikTok last night. Um, the Sorsby story is out there, and if you haven't been under a rock over the last month or even last night, since yesterday, this kid, Sorsby, Brendan Sorsby, it was announced yesterday by the NFL that they will not be holding their NFL supplemental draft. Now, they don't have a supplemental draft every year. Some don't know that, but the NFL picks and basically chooses when they're going to have these supplemental drafts. Part of that is based on how many players apply to participate in a supplemental draft. And there's different reasons why players enter a supplemental draft. It's usually held this time of the year. And this time the NFL chose not to have one. Now they sent a long letter in regards to this year's supplemental draft to Sorsby and his attorney and whatnot. So a lot of you who are supporting Sorsby right now are going off the deep end because you don't know how to handle the fact that the NFL said no. And it doesn't seem like a lot of people understand that there's this word called accountability. And then you try to throw it back like, well, if this kid's not accountable, nor is the NFL. I guess it's got to start somewhere. And for me, this whole situation is a soapbox. It's ridiculous. And I agree with what the letter said from the NFL in regards to the fact that this kid is trying to go from one avenue to the next, trying to get in some to place football somewhere. And the fact is that he screwed up. Now, I don't want this kid's life to be ruined, like some people are trying to suggest. Anthony Lima on 92.3 is just so annoying to listen to at this point. I feel bad for Ken Carmen, because Anthony Lima, you're out there on social media. You are going to bat for this kid. I applaud you for that on that end, but you're just completely wrong. You had Mike Florio on earlier today, and Mike Florio just likes to listen to himself talk himself, and he's complaining about how, well, the CBA says for the NFL that if a player applies, that they should be able to be in the supplemental draft. Well, not the case this time. So I guess let's start with the word accountability again, in that this kid did $1 million worth of gambling. Now, some of you are pushing it off like, oh, well, it was $3 bets here, $4 bets here. Big whoop. He wasn't really betting. He wasn't playing at Indiana, or he was there, but not playing in the games. So why are we being so harsh? The fact is that this kid screwed up. He's already entered a gambling correction. He went to counseling for this already. So the kid recognizes at least that he has had an issue and is dealing with it, which I applaud him for doing. But at the same time, there are consequences for the choices you make. And this is a prime example of that. And the letter that the NFL sent back to this kid and then the attorney is basically saying, there was a deadline. You brought us this information a few days before that deadline, and there wasn't enough for them to base things on. And they also said up front that they weren't planning on having a supplemental draft this year, and they were going to stick to that. Historically, if you want to go back and look at all supplemental drafts, you can go do a Google search yourself. And on those supplemental drafts, they don't have them every year. And there are players that apply, but sometimes they don't necessarily have one. I think they had one they offered one in 2023, but nobody was picked up. They had one back in 2019. I think one or two players were taken back then. But even you go back 30 years, I mean, you'll see that there are several years that are missing because they did not have a supplemental draft. So Look, Sorsby, I everybody was that has been talking about this kid. It's just ridiculous some of the takes and trying to compare make him a first round draft pick is just insane. And I mentioned this the other day on the show that I know some of you out there are giving me stats about how his stats are comparable to someone like Josh Allen that came out of Wyoming years ago. I'm like, that's just so far. I mean, you can't stretch this any further. The kid played in Indiana when Indiana was crap. Then he's transferred to Cincinnati where they had a respectable 7-5 record. But if you really dig into the stats and see what he did, he wasn't that good. So for you guys to project that he's going to be the next franchise quarterback, and we talked about this yesterday about what is this definition of being a franchise quarterback for the Browns and for many NFL teams, you're looking for a guy that can be a game manager who can be consistent, play in games, not get injured, and have a lengthy career. I've said yesterday I thought Baker Mayfield was that guy. Some of you don't want to consider him a franchise quarterback, but I think he was like franchise quarterback because he did those things. He was consistent. Yes, he did get the injury in 2021, but um, so those are some of the things that just jump out at us again with the Sorsby story. I mean, it's done. So some of you still are out there saying, "Well, this is still going to be a fight," fine, so be it. But again, it's not. It's there's so many things that have happened to this point where it's like, hey, guess what? Like you might have to not play football now, and this kid's got to learn a lesson, and hopefully he learns it and they said that he could enter the 2027 draft. Great. Okay. If he's there, wonderful. We can talk about Sorsby in 2027 next April. But besides that, the story is done. But you folks in Cleveland, especially you media folk who love to just carry on these godforsaken um, stories, it's just nuts sometimes. It's funny to me too, like Shador. 2 days ago, here we were talking about Shador. They're taking calls. Tony Rizzo's out there. They're taking calls. Nothing's intimate, which I respect him for saying that. A lot of people didn't hear him say that on Monday, but he did. But we haven't heard anything in the last 2 days about Shador and this supposed trade stuff. So it's just stuff that's being created, and that's what I know these folks on the big radio programs in Cleveland get paid to do. But it's like I've been saying all week, it is rather annoying. Hey, let's pause for a quick commercial break. This is Coffee Jolt. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for coming back. It's Coffee Jolt. If you can see, I'm wound up this morning. I did bring my handy dandy coffee, which is stuck on my coaster here, but warm up here with it is about 10:46 this morning, so not quite that early. I am coming on earlier than I usually do. Maybe you'll be watching World Cup games. It is funny to me. I know a lot of you are football fans that you listen to this podcast or you're Cleveland fans, but go do a search on World Cup and the NFL because I see some people who are real USA fans or at least football fans who try to say how, oh, the game of football, the NFL is so much bigger than the World Cup, especially to us Americans. Maybe it is just to us Americans, but globally, it's a joke. I mean, the World Cup game, the first game a couple weeks ago, drew 1.2 billion people in one game to watch that first game. 1.2 billion across the globe. In total, the NFL Super Bowl with the international population added in did about 200 million. So 1.2 billion compared to 200 million, and that's give or take. Globally, the World Cup does like 6 or 7 billion views over the course of the series of games. 6 to 7 billion views. It dwarfs everything else. And if you're an American and you travel, and I'll urge you to do that, get out of the United States sometime and see what the hell is going on in the rest of the world, you'll see very quickly that soccer, football rules. And that's what cultures and other countries cheer. And you should applaud that and respect that. And so some of you folks who are all here, we are in America, we don't care about no soccer. I have no idea what planet or what you think you're talking about, because you're completely dead wrong. So, all right. So there's a bunch of games on. I would encourage you to watch that. Also, my son has his YouTube channel, the I'm Jabster. So check that out. We have our YouTube channel at the Elves Network, ELFZ Network. My son's got almost 300,000 subscribers right now. 300,000. We don't have quite that many here on the Elves Network, but we'd love for you to join us. Taking another sip of that delicious coffee from Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. They shake the hand of the farmer. Also, shout out to Sherry's licorice share. Red raspberry is the flavor of the day. They're down there in Goshen, Ohio, outside of Cincinnati. Good stuff. Check them out. They have a great website, and we're working on a partnership with them. So check their website out and order some licorice. So I have a bone to pick with the WNBA again. I know this is not football related, but it's been annoying me. And I've talked about this before on my shows. But Caitlin Clark, I know a lot of you love Caitlin Clark, and you don't think that she's being respected enough in the WNBA. And I don't watch the WNBA enough, but I watched it enough, and I've been around women's basketball for many years. My daughter played college hoops at Buffalo, has former teammates and players that are playing professionally to this day. So I know a little bit about the game. And Caitlin Clark is just hell. She's annoying. Now I don't want to really bash on her, but I will say that she and this team that she's on and this coach, the coach that she has is annoying. They're both annoying as hell. Um, Caitlin Clark is constantly, hands thrown in the air, acting, crying. Um, yeah, every time she gets fouled. So that's one issue. Then the other part of this is her teammates, and specifically, and I've talked about this player, Sophia Cunningham, which some of you are going, who the hell is that? Well, Google her. She's the annoying one that came out like 6 months ago and said that the Cleveland, that if they have new franchises in the WNBA, Cleveland would not be a good destination because players don't want to play in Cleveland. This is Sophia Cunningham, who once played for the University of Missouri, and she's just an idiot, a complete idiot. And she's out there, trying to protect her, making fun of her ex teammates. There was a player, Bonner, last name, who got into a altercation with Caitlin Clark in a recent game. And Sophia Cunningham's just adding to that, just acting stupid, immature. So it's just these kids. I mean, and that's the problem. That these basketball players, they're generally just kids. They're in their mid to early 20s. They're very immature. It's just hard to watch and hard to see them really compete, because I don't know. The competing's one thing, but then how they react and how they play the game is, it's just not the right way to play the game. In my opinion, I've coached them over the years. It's just immature and it's just annoying. So I don't watch it, but when I do see some of these things, it's just infuriates me because it's so petty and childish. And obviously, Sophia Cunningham has a lot bigger following than us here on the Fanatical Elves. We don't win contests here at the Fanatical Elves, but we do provide you good Cleveland Browns and Cleveland sports coverage. Later on this week, we have Rod Bloom and his brother Jeff come up with the Browns Blitz. Earlier in the week, Steve had his Dog Pound South show. I'll have my Johnny Cleveland podcast later this week. So tune into all those shows as we go through the rest of this beautiful week. By the way, it is gorgeous again here in the Columbus, Ohio region. Beautiful sunny skies. We are lucking out on this. One other thing that's been come up, and I don't know if you've been watching this or following this. If you haven't been under a rock, like I said earlier, social media, especially with the World Cup, gotten a lot of play. This guy named Freddie on the X, and you follow his page. He went from like couple thousand followers. He's now got like close to 1 million followers. He blew up overnight. They did an article on him on People magazine, and supposedly a he is a tourist from Germany here following his team. But if the weeks have gone on, it's been quite interesting because he posts pictures of just where he's going and following the German football team, and he's covering different parts of the country and showing different things, which is also nice. But anytime they show a picture of them, they always put like fake photos in front of them. So we don't really know what these people look like. So there's been a lot of suspicion. Is this really a real person? Is it just being um, presented to help promote the United States and other businesses? So it is funny to see. I don't know if it's real or not at this point. I think a lot of people are wondering that. You'd like to think it's real, but at the same time, in this day and age, it's hard to tell. They came down through Ohio, which we're in right now, and they're supposedly stayed over in Amish country, which is, if you're familiar with Ohio, the northeast side part of Ohio has different counties like Wayne County, Holmes County, that have large contingencies of Amish people, and they stayed over there. This people that are traveling, this Freddie guy in Berlin, which is one of the towns in the middle of Holmes County. I grew up in Worcester, which some of you know, which is in Wayne County. It's funny because then somebody posted some photos about it, and they said, "Well, this is described it as Worcester, Ohio." They showed this picture of this old town. It wasn't Worcester, just for the record, but it is interesting what is happening. You're getting governors of states and people reaching out to this guy. It's just bizarre. He's getting so much popularity and support. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm suspicious at this point, as many of you are. I don't know if it's really real. I think it could be, kind of a mixed bag of things. Finally, well, a couple things too. I want to let everybody know I'm working on an article for Dog Pound Daily. Check them out, part of Fansided. And I mentioned this yesterday about Cleveland Browns busts overall, players that were drafted in the first round that have been busts. They ranked different teams across all franchises from football to baseball to basketball, and Cleveland is ranked up there in the top. I think they listed 4 busts, but I think there's at least 7 or 8. So I'm working on that story. That'll be coming out here later this week on Dog Pound Daily. Check out my article today on Dog Pound Daily. It's coming out here just shortly about Jerry Jeudy. You know what I think about Jerry Jeudy. I think he's an idiot. And this article is suspecting that he could be traded. I would not be surprised if he does get traded, maybe not before the season starts, but I would definitely look at him as being somebody who could be traded come November. I don't have a lot of respect for this guy. I think he's a knucklehead. I don't think he really is invested in being a Cleveland Brown. I don't think he's invested in playing football. I think he's invested in himself. I think he's a cocky son of a gun. I think he had a huge track record going back to when he played in Denver. People in Denver don't like him. They said the same thing about him. He got out of Dodge out there and came here to Cleveland. Had a decent year, 2 years ago when he got caught 90 passes. Good job for him. But really, you look at it, he has only got 17 touchdown passes over a 6-year career. 17. Some players do that in a year. He's got 17. 17. So, you know, let's see what happens. He's just lazy. I don't think he cares about the game. I don't think he's invested, like I said. Maybe he can change my opinion about it, but we'll see what happens. But that article is out today on Dog Pound Daily. Check that out. Cavaliers. People are getting nervous about the Cavaliers because they haven't done much this offseason. There was the NBA trade earlier last night, in the first round at least. The Cavs had the 29th pick, but they traded out of it with, I think, Sacramento or Charlotte for pick 34. So they're going to pick today in the draft. I don't know if they follow that or not on ESPN, but so they haven't picked up anybody. Some people are worried the Cavs are going to run it back. I will say this, and I mentioned this before, a player like Dean Wade, and I know some of you like him, a lot of you don't like him for godforsaken, I don't know reasons why, because you don't know the game of basketball. But Dean is an unrestricted free agent, so I would not be surprised if Dean leaves the Cavs. I know that'll make some of you happy, but I will. He's a friend, and I wish him the best if he does choose to go elsewhere. Finally, part of the NBA draft, a good story here is Dalen Swain. Dalen Swain went to Afrocentric High School, which I used to work at as a school counselor. Dalen is a great kid. Dalen played for the University of Texas last year. Before that, he had started his college career at Xavier here in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Dalen got drafted last night by the Chicago Bulls at pick number 15. So shout out to Dalen, his family, and all those that have invested and are friends and family of Dalen and the Afrocentric. They have produced many great, talented players. And in the men's basketball team and the women's basketball team there at Afrocentric. And so Dalen is a great example of a kid that has worked really, really hard at his craft and has a lot of work to go, but his upside, his ceiling is tremendous, and he's a good kid. So I wish Dalen, I wish you the best of luck with the Chicago Bulls. Should be a lot of fun, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of people supporting you, coming watch you to play. If you make the team with the Bulls, the Cavalier games, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will come up and watch you play those games up in Cleveland. So congratulations to Dalen. And that's all I got, folks. I hope you all have a very good rest of your morning. Take care. We'll be back again tomorrow night. Might have a show tomorrow morning again with Coffee Jolt here, but then tomorrow night we'll have the Fanatical Elves show with Steve Gill, myself, Sam the Man, Brennan out there in Texas. We'll be talking about Sorsby, obviously, Shador, and all that is Cleveland. Again, appreciate the support. Go follow us, listen to us. Like I said, on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you listen to your podcast, go click that subscribe button and follow us. You would do us a really good deed there if you do that. Thanks again, everybody. Take care. Go Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. See ya.